Again, I have as my guest Craig von Buseck.
You know, so much of how we grow is through relationships.
Convictions must be strong. Pierce the darkness with the light as you go along. Living with one foot in heaven, breaking the enemy's power. In the strength of Jesus we can stand in the darkest hour. Living with one foot in heaven, ready when he calls our name. For believers to live is Christ, to die is only gain.
Welcome to Heritage of Truth. Again, I have as my guest, and it's such a privilege to have you again, Craig von Buseck.
Yes, well, it's good to be here. Thank you again for having me.
So you've got a new project going that is called Church Watch. Tell us about that.
Well, Church Watch has been my blog for several years on cbn.com, and it's gained a bit of a following. And so I have moved on from working full-time at cbn.com, and I'm still a contributor there, but I've launched this new website, or it's going to be launched in the fall of 2012, that is going to be really a discipleship website. The vision is to provide information, inspiration, resources, encouragement for believers to help equip them to go out and do what God is calling them to do. So we're going to update every weekday, and then once we grow a little bit, we'll probably run the best of on the weekends, and it will include articles. It will include daily devotional, Bible resources. We're going to have a prayer page where people will be able to post their prayers, and then we're going to encourage people to be praying for those prayers. And we want to get to the point, and we've got to find the right technical people to help us with this, but where they're posting their prayers, people are praying for them, and then they can post testimonies as those prayers are answered. But I want it to be a gathering place. I want people to be able to come, not only receive resources, but also to come and form community.
And receive encouragement from one another.
Exactly right. Exactly. Yes. And conversations. You know, so much of how we grow is through relationships. Yes, the literature is great, the teaching is great, and it's important and it's needed. But it really gets cemented, it really gets deep down in our hearts when we can speak to others about the information, about our relationships, about our experiences. And so we want Church Watch to be that kind of a meeting place as well.
Oh, that sounds cool. So who is going to contribute to this?
Well,
obviously you can't do this all alone.
Right, exactly. I already have many different writers, ministers who I have relationships with. Many have already agreed to be contributors, some on a weekly basis.
Right.
I want to have weekly bloggers, people who have something to say in a particular issue, whether it be parenting or whether it be evangelism, whether it be missions or internet discipleship, whatever. Whatever the case may be, family issues and so forth, marriage issues. I want people to...
So you're going to be the go-to resource for people who want to live out their Christian faith.
Did you hear that? Write that down. Jeanne she's prophesying. That's good. Yeah. Yes, I am. From your mouth to God's ears to grace to make it happen.
Well, that's what it sounds like. I mean, it's not just like another Facebook type of thing.
No, not at all. No, it's a website that will have a community with it. So it's not merely conversation. It is information. It is, there's going to be podcasts, audio and video podcasts and so forth. Really, it's going to be a focus, though, on spiritual issues. So we're not necessarily going to have a movie review about the latest Disney release, unless, of course, it's got a really solid, if it was Narnia, well, that's very clearly a spiritual movie. So we'll talk about that, but we're not going to talk about Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right. Exactly.
Unless somebody's doing a devotional and using it as an allegory, which is fine. But, you're not going to come here to get the latest recipes for summer barbecue or those kind of things, which, there's nothing wrong with any of those things, and that's fine and good. But we really feel like the Lord's called us to a focus on spiritual matters, on discipleship, and on really a thoughtful analysis of these things in such a way that somebody who's hungry to really grow in their faith, and they say, you know what, I want to know God, and I want to know what His Word says. I want to know what He says to me, and I want to be equipped to share that with others. Church Watch is the place for them.
And is it churchwatch.com?
Churchwatch.co.
.co.
Yeah, which is a new designation because all the .coms have been taken. So now they've added this new one, churchwatch.co.
Okay. .co.
Yeah, with no space, churchwatch.co. And if you Google Church Watch with no space, it's in the top 5.
Good.
Already, without even being launched, because my blog has
because of your blog, and it's a good blog.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, so you have a new book out?
Well, it's coming out. I have had the privilege of working with a medical doctor. His name is Dr. James Post out of New York City. And Jim has an amazing story. He was 14 years old and a Boy Scout and learning how to do rescue as a lifeguard type of thing. And he did a shallow water dive and broke his neck and became a quadriplegic. Well, he always had this desire, and it grew in the time that he was in the hospital to help people through the medical field. And he desired eventually to be a medical doctor. Well, he can move his hands like this, but he can't move his fingers at all. He can just feel on the pinky, his knuckle of his pinky. And so all the medical schools really discouraged him. Well, he went to pre-med, kind of said, I'm going to go for this. And he was number 1 in his class in pre-med. And yet every medical school in Pennsylvania where he's from turned him down to be in medical school. So he fought it because he said, listen, and his argument actually was quite sound. He said, this is not the 1920s and the 1930s where a doctor has to learn everything and be everything and carry a black bag and go off to the countryside. In today's world, with computers, physician's assistants, and with all of the technology that is available for those with handicaps, there are places, specializations in medicine where I don't need to use my hands. I'm not going to deliver babies. I'm not going to do surgery, but I could be a psychiatrist, I could be a radiologist, or something else. So he fought it, and it got picked up. The story got picked up by the Associated Press. NBC News picked it up, and he was on the Faith Daniels show, which was kind of an Oprah-type news show back in that time. And Faith Daniels brought in all these other doctors who had various handicaps. One had polio, another one was blind, another one was a quadriplegic that the University of Georgia said, you can do it. And so Jim was like, if University of Georgia says you can do it, why can't I do it in Pennsylvania? And so towards the end of the show, Faith Daniels turns to this dean from another medical school who had polio and said, would your school accept Jim? And he was national TV live, and he thought, what do I say? And he said, well, Jim has to apply. And so Jim applied, and this guy got behind him, Dr. Schomburg, got behind him and helped push it through. And Jim was accepted to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York City. And in the end, Jim graduated in the top 10% of his class. And now he is a kidney specialist, a nephrologist. Doesn't need to use his hands, he uses his mind. And it's wonderful because not only is he able to be an excellent medical doctor in that specialty, but because of his having gone through all those experiences, he has a special empathy for other patients that other doctors might not have. And so actually all kinds of wonderful doors have opened up to him beyond just being a medical doctor. That's wonderful enough, but also the ability to really care on a social level and a caring, empathetic, emotional level as well. And so all these medical schools said, no, you can't, but the name of the book is Yes, You Can. Yes, I Can.
Yes, I Can.
Yes, I Can.
And when is it due out?
Well, we are just putting the finishing touches on it here in the summer of 2012. We're hoping that it'll come out this year. We're looking for the publisher. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for being my guest again.
Jeanne, it's always a pleasure.
And I look forward to seeing you again.
All right, next time. We'll look forward to it. Thanks.
For believers to live